So we're going to look at finding the volume of three solids is what they are called. If you have a 3D figure, it is called a solid. And the first one we're going to look at is a cylinder. A cylinder has two circular bases connected like this. It's like a prism. You looked at prisms last year, 7th graders. And cylinders are prisms with circles for bases, okay? So the volume of any type of prism is the area of the base, that's capital B, times the height of the prism. Well, the base is a circle in a cylinder, so we're going to say the area of a circle is pi r squared times the height. So the formula we will use most frequently is pi r squared h, okay? Reminder that we will use the approximation for pi 3.14. Formulas are nice. I call them plug and chug. We're going to plug things in and we're going to get our answer out. So I have a cylinder here. I'm going to write my formula, pi r squared h. So my volume is going to be pi. I'm going to use the approximation 3.14. My radius here is 10. So 10 squared times my height is 4. And now it's just a matter of calculator work. 3.14 times 10 squared is 100 times 4. You could actually, in our calculators, just type all that in at one time. So 3.14 times 100 times 4 is 1,256, and volume is cubic units because you're finding how many cubes you could fit inside that 3D figure, okay? All right, so this one, look, is very similar, but instead of the radius, they give us the diameter. So if they give us the diameter, which is all the way across, we have to cut that in half, and the radius is half of 26 is 13, okay? So we're going to do the same thing. The volume of a cylinder is pi r squared h. That's 3.14 times 13 squared times the height of this cylinder is 40. So I'm going to put that all in my calculator. 3.14 times 13 times 13, or 13 squared on your fancy calculators, times 40. And I get 21,226.4 meters cubed. Volume is in cubic units. Okay, next is a cone. A cone has one circle base. It comes to one point. A cone is like a pyramid. The difference is that circular base, okay? Now, what we could do if we were able to actually hold a cone in a cylinder that had the same radius and the same height, it would take 3 cylinders. I'm sorry, let me say that again. It would take 3 cones to fill up a cylinder. It would take 3 cones to fill up a cylinder. So since it takes 3 cones to fill up a cylinder, the volume of one cone is 1/3 the area of the base times the height, because it would take 3 of them to fill up that cylinder. So that would be 1/3 pi r squared, because the area of the base is a circle, and the area of a circle is pi r squared, times the height of the cone. And you might see it, and this is probably also how it would work best in the calculator, is pi r squared h all over 3. It doesn't matter either way, but you're going to, at the end, divide by 3, okay? So if we look at this problem here, we've got a radius of 3.5 miles and a height of 16 miles. That's one big cone, isn't it? Okay, so we're going to write our formula, 1/3 pi r squared h. We're going to plug in what we know. We're using the approximation 3.14 for pi. We're going to square 3.5, and we're going to multiply it by 16, and then we're going to divide that by 3. The volume of a cone is 1/3 the volume of a cylinder with the same height and radius. So at this point, it's just calculator work. I'm going to do 3.14 times 3.5 squared times 16. and then I'm going to divide all of that by 3, and I get 205.15. You'll always want to pay attention to however you're supposed to round, but we'll round to the nearest hundredth here. So 205.14, and this is miles cubed, okay, or cubic miles. All right, look at the next one. They gave us the diameter instead of the radius, so the radius is half the diameter. Oops, so that is not 8. I'm just the math teacher. Half of 18 is 9, okay? So I'm going to do volume equals pi r squared h over 3. So I'm using 3.14. My radius is 9, so 9 squared. My height is 27, and I'm going to divide all that by 3. Formulas are nice. It is just calculator work. So 3.14 times 9 squared is 81 times 27 equals, and then I'm going to divide that by 3. That will be my last step, and I get the volume is 2,289 and 600ths. What am I working in here? Cubic feet. Okay, so that's how you find the volume of a cube. All right, lastly, we're going to look at a sphere. A sphere is a ball, okay? It has a radius. We don't really talk about the height because the height is just like the diameter of the sphere. It's 2 radii put together. It has the weirdest volume formula. It is actually, we can fill a sphere with 2 cones that have the same height, which would be 2 radii, right, and the same radius. So it would take 2 cones to fill a sphere. We could do a little bit of fraction work, and this is the formula we would get. We get the volume of a sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed. 4/3 pi r cubed, okay? That's the formula you're going to see on your reference page. If we want to write it in a way that would make it easier to know what to do in our calculator, this is going to be 4 pi r cubed all over 3. Okay, that's how we're going to do it in our calculator, but your reference page says 4/3 pi r cubed. So this first sphere, the radius is 4. So I'm going to say the volume is 4/3 pi r cubed. I'm going to write my formula first just to help me remember it and so that I plug things in the correct place. I'm going to say 4 times 3.14 times, my radius is 4, so 4 cubed all over 3. Okay, that's kind of messy, but that's 4 times 3.14 times 4 cubed all over 3. So in my calculator, I'm going to say 4 times 3.14 times 4 cubed is 64. And then I'm going to hit equals, and then I'm going to divide by 3. Let me double check that I did that right because I messed up on my calculator. 4 times 3.14 times 4 cubed is 64. And then I'm going to divide by 3. And my volume to the nearest hundredth is 267 and 95 hundredths. This is in inches, so it's cubic inches. Volume is always in cubic units. Okay, the very last one, they give me the diameter. So the radius is half that. Half of 26 is 13. So I do the same thing. Volume equals 4/3 pi r cubed. So I'm going to say 4 times 3.14 times 13 cubed. This is going to be a big number. All over 3. Okay, so I'm going to do that in my calculator. So I'm going to do 4 times 3.14. I'm working in a calculator that doesn't have a power button, so I'm going to say times 13, times 13, times 13. I'm going to hit my equal sign, and I'm going to divide by 3. And I get 9,198.11. Let me do that one more time. 4 times 3.14 times 13 times 13 times 13 equals divided by 3. Okay, I think I did it right. And this is millimeters cubed. So you have seen the 3 formulas for volume that we need to know as 8th graders, and you are ready to do some practice.